What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Sister Radio Show. I am your favorite sister, Narkelia, and I hope you guys have been having a great week since the last time I talked to you. Of course, it's still August, so that means we are still in our vent session. Today is our last one, and I gotta be honest with y'all, I'm glad about it. Like, even though I love getting all my negative thoughts out and venting with y'all, I'm ready to get back to the positive. But it is good, I feel, to get these things out so that you can move forward, so that you can get your mind right and release that positivity into the universe instead of all this negativity. Because we all know it's easy to vent, it's easy to complain, but it can be hard to choose happiness and positivity. So we're going to get back to that after this last vent session. And it's going to be on something I've touched on in the past, but not really went full in on all my thoughts about it. And that is whether college is really worth it. Whether going to college, whether that be an undergraduate degree or a master's or a doctorate, is really worth it. And this came to me because I was going to my day job, and on the fancy little elevator, there's a little TV monitor that always has these cool articles. And the article came up and was like, Google, Apple, and 13 other companies that will no longer require employees to have a college degree. And of course, these companies are some of your leading tech companies. One of them that was on the list was IBM. And it just really made me think, which I ain't gonna lie, I do think about this often. Like, do most of us have to go to college to achieve success in the field that we want to go into, in the field that we want to grow in? And I started thinking about my own career journey or path or whatever you want to call it. So, of course, my undergraduate degree is in marketing. I have an MBA. Concentration is also in marketing. I do love marketing. I truly do. I love being able to fit a product or service to a specific target market and really build and tailor advertisements and such around that target market, and really seeing how they respond to it, and really testing my creativity and things of that nature to be able to say, this worked for them or this didn't work, or maybe we should explain demographics, this, that, and the third, whatever. I love that type of stuff. But I've never truly had a career in it in regards to a 9 to 5. So when I graduated from undergrad, I took a management position, an entry-level management position in retail. Definitely hated that. Moved on to working in telecommunications, in the cell phone side, in customer care to be specific, which I hated that. I don't like talking to people on the phone. So I moved from there and went into their retail as a wireless solutions associate, which is a fancy term for cell phone sales, really. But we like our bougie terms. But went into that position. Then, started looking for more work-life balance and moved into what I do now, which is commercial underwriting, which, once again, as you can hear, none of that stuff sounds related to marketing at all, and it absolutely is not. But what I'm going to get to, and my point is, on each of these jobs, I had to be trained. Had to be trained to know what to do. Had to be trained to be in charge of folks. Had to be trained to know what people look for in their cell phones. Had to be trained on commercial underwriting and reviewing risks and analyzing risks to ensure that they are going to be profitable and not going to cause major losses, and this, that, and the third. So all of these jobs, I've been trained on what to do. I've not held a degree in management. I've not held, even though marketing has a sales piece in it, sales was not my focus in my degree. So had to be trained on sales tactics, had to be gone through, whether it was 7 weeks courses or whatever on this training. Really didn't need a degree in these things. A lot of people don't have a degree in these things that sit next to me. And so, while I've gone through even getting a master's, I've really had the conversation with myself often, was it really necessary? And when people ask me if I'm going to go back to school again to get a PhD or another master's, my answer is always hell no, because everything that I've done, like I said, I've been trained on, and everything that I want to do as far as entrepreneurship and really taking Sister Sistah and my other ventures to the next level have nothing to do with my degree or with any degree out there that I could get. And even looking at this article about these tech companies, IBM had this to say. IBM said, instead of looking exclusively at candidates who went to college, IBM now looks at candidates who have hands-on experience via a coding boot camp or an industry-related vocational class. And so while there are definitely some fields that require you to go to school for them, there are even more or just as much or more that do not require a 4-year degree and beyond. And these computer fields, these tech fields are some of them. Even the jobs I've worked have been some of them. Like, for instance, when you work in the insurance world like I do now, if you want to stay in that field in underwriting, it's not about 4-year degrees or master's degrees. It's about these insurance designations, which are not things you go to a university for. These are things I would not have even known about had I not, started working in insurance. But they're kind of more so in relation to what IBM says, a coding boot camp. These are just like industry specific classes you take and certificates you get that say you take this field seriously, you want to move on to the next level. And a lot more industries are going towards this more certificate based education that says, hey, I'm serious about this. I've been taking said courses and obtaining the certificate to say that I'm serious about this and I want a career in this. That's what a lot of these fields look for now. And it's important when you're in high school, or even sometimes if you've already taken the steps to get into college, to really research what it is you want to do and know what it takes to get there before you get student loans, before you're in this debt now, before you've wasted your time, because that's the most important piece, is the time wasted. Like, I really wish I would not have gotten my master's, but I was that person, I grew up being taught education is everything, and I definitely believe in education, but I don't necessarily believe in education in the form that you have to go through higher education to learn things. So I was taught that, you go to college, you get a good job, you keep furthering that coursework into master's degrees and doctorates. And so right after I graduated from my undergrad, Albany State, woo woo, I took like maybe a school year off and then boom, jumped right into a master's. And then as I started working, because it was the first time while in school that I actually had to work full time because I was an adult now. So I kind of took like time off from my master's. Actually, I took like a 5-year hiatus from it. Just because I was working. I was working all these, over the years, these different jobs. And honestly, the only reason I went back and completed it is because I only had 5 classes left. And I'm the type of person where if I do start something, I'm going to go ahead and complete it whether I truly want to or not, just so I don't feel like I wasted time. So I did. I completed my master's actually in October of last year. But I don't use it. Well, I'll say this. I don't use my master's degree because I just feel like that was a bonus degree. But the most that I use my marketing bachelor's degree, because that was solely, you know, mostly focused on the meat of marketing, wherein the master's part is more focused on the like a holistic view, a theoretic view, those things. But the meat of marketing was really learned in my undergrad degree. The most I use it, and when I feel thankful for it, is when I am getting ready to advertise for Sister Sistah, or branding Sister Sistah, or saying what I should do next for Sister Sistah, and understanding my target audience. Like, for instance, I do a lot of Instagram marketing. And on Instagram, when you choose to promote and a post or your page, it gives you options to choose an audience they pick out for you, or all these different options of audiences to share your ad with. And so, when I choose the option to actually tailor my own audience, and I feel grateful for having that marketing educational background, because I am able to think through who are Sister Sistah's listeners, who do I want to target, what age group, what ethnicities, which of course mainly Black, but truly all people of color, what cultures, whether like subcultures, like the hip hop culture, like your neo soul, like even down to what types of interests do these people have. Let's go after these pages. Let's do this, that, and the third to make sure that you're getting to the right people, so that you can grab new listeners, and so that your current listeners can continue staying abreast on what's happening next with Sister Sistah. So in those moments, I do use my marketing degree the most. I use the same thing when people ask me about, forming a website. What should I do here? What should I put on it to grab people? Things of that nature. That's when that marketing degree comes into place, and I'm thankful for it. However, because I am a smart person, I think that a lot of that stuff could have been used with me Googling about target audiences, and about how to find your target audience, how to grab people, what makes your website pop. I definitely think those things could be learned with Google research these days. I didn't have to do 4 whole years of college to learn about that. I think it's at the tip of our fingertips. I think what college did teach me are skills like resourcefulness to make me even want to research things. It taught me skills like professionalism. I was in the College of Business, and so professionalism and making sure dressing for your day and sending proper business emails, because the way you write a business email is different from the way you write a personal email. Resume writing, things of that nature. But once again, all of those things are things people could learn on their own, but college just makes a disciplined setting that forces you to do it, and it does stick with you. So I'm definitely not knocking it. I learned some very wonderful skill sets and some usable skill sets there, but I just don't think, and luckily I didn't have student loans during undergrad. I definitely have a hefty amount with that master's degree. I'm still trying to figure out why that costs so much. I mean, most of the time, like, it's not like your teacher or your professor, is holding your hand. You're so independent during a master's program. I just don't understand why it costs so much. But now that I'm in hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt over there, I'm just like, was it really worth it? And for me, I should have stopped at undergrad. I should have taken more than that year of a break off from school and thought about things a little more, because it's not beneficial to my life. There's a debt that I have now for no absolute reason. And honestly, I say undergrad was worth it because I didn't have to pay for it. Luckily, I did have academic scholarship then, but if I would have had to pay for it, I probably would have been like, nah, I could have just researched this thing, because even though, you know, resourcefulness is one of the skills I feel like I perfected in college, it was already within me. I could have learned to do anything. Like when I designed my website, you know, I Googled a lot of that stuff. I had taken a web building class before, but it wasn't as in depth. It didn't take me through start to finish of just knowing everything. I Googled a lot of the stuff. And then going back to a lot of these tech fields, I see so many advertisements, and probably because you know your phone's spying on you, I'm probably going to see even more now that I'm talking about it on my phone. But I see so many advertisements to take a coding class, and it's probably like $100, $200 for this class, and it's a weekend intense boot camp, or, you know, I see all of these classes around these different tech softwares that you can learn in like a week or whatever. And these things are way more beneficial to those fields than you going and majoring in computer science or whatever type of engineering type courses or degree you're going to. And these companies are flat out letting you know that. Like, you don't need to have all of that, because all the other bullshit around those, I call those the meaty classes, the meat of it all, which is what you really need. All the other courses surrounding it are just fluff and buff. Just random stuff. Just stuff you done already learned in high school or something, but just reiterating it more. Like, why do I need to take more English type classes in college? I've already done that from kindergarten to 12th grade. Like, why are we still taking the math classes if I'm not majoring in anything dealing with math? Why is this prerequisite if I've already done 12 years of schooling prior to getting to college of this type of work? Now, if I'm going into a math related field, great. Throw on all these extra math classes. If I'm not, cut it out. If I'm not going into journalism or something dealing with writing or teaching, don't make me take any more English classes. I've done enough of that for the last 12 years of my schooling. I'm in college now. Let me get straight to my major classes. And I definitely think if these colleges and universities are going to last and be around, for some of these career fields and these degrees, they should cut out some of these prerequisites that honestly are unnecessary and just get straight to the major classes. It would cut down on the degree time and allow students to zone in on what they really truly need and nothing else. And you can get them in and get them out. And they do not have to spend unnecessary time on courses that are unrelated to what they're going to need out here in the real world when they start working or when they start going into entrepreneurship. And it can just get them started even faster. I don't think you need to be in college from 18 to 22. Like, if you can get me out of this thing at 20, let's do that. I'm in here. Goodbye. Get me straight to my major classes and let's go. And also, keep it real with students. Tell them about entrepreneurship. Tell them about the career fields that are actually going to make them money. Tell them about whether or not some of their ideas are realistic, or maybe steer them down a path that may work better for their dreams and goals. Or when students tell you their dreams and goals, tailor a path that can help them reach that success. But take a more tailored view on dealing with students. I feel like that's the only way colleges and universities are still going to thrive, if they tailor the collegiate experience to individual students. And yes, I know there's thousands of students, but you know, advisors have so many students. There should be a way to, and not necessarily tailor it to each and every point of their personality, but just, you know, there's ways you can take a very broad spectrum and narrow it down for each student. there's a way to do that. That's the purpose of advisors, to help guide me on the path, and not just guide me on what you think I should do, but guide me on what I'm telling you I want to do and helping me to achieve that. Because I can tell you from my own experience in undergrad, no one truly asked me what I wanted to do. Everyone just said, if you go down this path, this is what you're going to have the option of doing. When my options that I had in my mind didn't match their options that they had in their minds and in their curriculum for what a master's degree was going to be doing. But no one sat me down. No advisor who was supposed to be there to do so sat down and went over that. No career center, which was supposed to be there to, help you flourish after college, sat down and did that. And if they're not going to start incorporating these things more and actually providing some good internships and not these basic ass internships, because a lot of times with the smaller colleges and universities, they don't have the same connections as some of the bigger universities and colleges. And so, the internships were very basic, and I'm like, okay, didn't really learn much there. I mean, you try to soak in what you can, but that's not anywhere where I want to, I want to make a career there when I leave college. Or, they inspired me to want to open my own business in this, or open a marketing consulting firm. Like, I never felt inspired from these internships. So these colleges, if they do want to attract students, and if they are going to sell students on getting a degree, they're going to have to change their methods. Like I said, they're going to have to cut out these unnecessary prerequisite classes. They're going to have to, honestly, I feel like 2 years is enough for a lot of majors if you only take the major classes. Like, some of these classes that you have to take beforehand are just unnecessary. And it's a waste of time. And more importantly, it's a waste of money. And these students are leaving these undergraduate degrees with a hefty amount of debt. The bigger the university, the more the debt that you've entered into when you graduate, unless you had some form of an academic scholarship, a sports scholarship, or something. But if not, you're definitely, or unless your parents are well-to-do, which is great. But a lot of times in our communities, and when I say our, I mean the Black community, we aren't born with silver spoons in our mouths. A lot of us either have to work through college to pay for it, try to get scholarships, or the student loan route. And there's so many people I know that have those student loans. And now, after getting my master's, I'm definitely one of them. And I think it's insane. But what I do want to get into, though, because once I started looking at that article about Google and IBM and Apple no longer requiring college degrees for a lot of their positions, I just started looking up the best jobs that don't require a college degree. And I went on US News Money, and they came up with this list of 25 best jobs that don't require a college degree. And it says many of these careers pay above $50,000. So I just wanted to see, because of course, it sounds good to say, don't go to college if it's not necessary. But I am, before I get into it, when I say you don't have to go to college, that doesn't mean you don't need any type of plan. You do need a plan. It's just that you have to thoroughly research how or what it takes to reach said goals. What does it take to do a podcast and be successful in that podcast, and for it to monetize itself and you get a return on your investment? You do have to research. You're still going to have to come up with a plan for whatever career path or form of entrepreneurship you take. You just can't just say, I'm not going to go to college, and then you be bumming. Or you can look at some of these 25 jobs that apparently good paying jobs, because another thing is that when I got out of college, I'm thinking, boom, this is gonna at least. I wasn't unrealistic. I wasn't thinking straight out of college I was gonna be making $60,000 a year. I was smart enough to like research the market and seeing what was the standard entry level job salary. But like I did at least think I could be at 45. But like you get out into the world and people trying to pay you 28,000, 35,000. And then, I have friends with master's degrees who still have a hard time finding a job. And when they do find a job, these companies want to pay them pennies. They want to start them out like they're entry level because a lot of these jobs want you to have hands-on experience. And one of the running jokes with people out of college is, okay, first you wanted me to go to school, now you want me to have experience. Like, which one is it? How am I supposed to do it all? But these 25 jobs, let's get into some of them. I'm not going to go down the entire list of 25 jobs because, well, that'll just take too damn long. Let's start with a nuclear medicine technologist. So, a nuclear medicine technologist administers radioactive substances to patients who need scans from these kinds of nuclear medical machines. The job only requires an associate degree. Like I said, you should only be in school 2 years. The median salary is $74,350. Making more than me on my 9 to 5 that I went to school for and got a master's with. Like I said, I'm not in that field, but hey, here we are. And their unemployment rate is 2.1%, and the expected new job openings by 2026 is 2,000. Once again, this is a nuclear medicine technologist. You only need an associate degree, meaning that I could go take my ass to school right now and learn about this shit so I can get out and make more money than I make now, and probably even more. They may like tax some on because I done went to 2 other schools. Shoot, never know. So if anyone's listening, maybe check this field out. Let's go next. Next are paralegals. Paralegals support lawyers by managing data and documents, and some prepare reports. Also, associate degree needed. Their median salary $49,500. It is not a bad salary at all for obtaining an associate degree, and especially if you're a younger person, if you're like 18 or 21 and you become a paralegal and you start out at $49,500, by the time you decide on what you want to do next with your career, you're going to be making way more than that. Hopefully, over year by year, you increase with your raises. And once again, this is if you want to go into a career field where you work for others, which is nothing wrong with that. If you're an entrepreneur, you're going to have to figure out what your passion is and monetize that and research that on your own. This is for people out here looking for jobs. Going on to the next one. We have a hearing aid specialist. Hearing aid specialists use tests to figure out the extent of patients' hearing loss, then select and fit treatment tools. Once again, associate degree is often needed. Their median salary, $50,250. Listen, go to these tech schools. Go like back in my hometown, Albany Tech. Learn a skill or a trade. They are paying more starting out than these 4-year degree jobs. Obviously, the numbers don't lie. The unemployment rate with this career field is 2%. Expected new job openings by 2026, 1,300. So it's going to be out there. Let's see, going on to the next. We have medical equipment repairer. When medical tools break, these repairers install new equipment, test it, and perform preventive maintenance. They also need associate degrees. Median salary, $48,070. Unemployment rate, 1%. Expected new job openings by 2026, 2,000. Let's go to this next one because, okay, MRI technologist. MRI technologists use magnetic resonance imaging scanners to diagnose medical conditions. These professionals need associate degrees. The median salary is $68,420. The unemployment rate is only 2.1%. Expected new job openings by 2026 is 5,000. Listen, the more we advance technologically, the more they're going to need people to operate this machinery. The doctors and nurses can't do it all. They're busy seeing patients. They're busy sticking them and weighing them and diagnosing them and whatever else. Meanwhile, homegirl gets to hang out just at the lab and push the button to slide you in the machine. She making 68 grand. And she don't have to care about none of your needs. She don't have to give you a shot or nothing. Or she could, I don't know, depending on a different job. And she only had to go to school, or he, or whoever only had to go to school 2 years. And of course, like I said, you start out making one salary. It's going to increase yearly. And it's probably one of those things you stay abreast on the technology so that you can stay competitive and get the salary that you want. But, bro, I'm about to go back. I'm about to go get an associate degree, but I'm getting a PhD. I probably can start over and still come out on top. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep going through this list. Web developer. So, once again, web developers are responsible for all the aspects of website design and creation. They also monitor web traffic. Only an associate degree needed. Median salary, $66,130. Unemployment rate a little higher than the others, 5.2%. Probably because, I can imagine that industry going up and down a little. But hold up though, expected new job openings by 2026, 24,400. That is because the internet technology is everything. Everything. If you don't already know what you want to do and you're open to learning new things, look at some of these tech fields, whether it's technology dealing with the medical field, whether it's technology dealing with social media, whether it's technology dealing with computers, whether it's technology dealing with all of the fields that Google, Apple, and IBM has to offer. Start researching that stuff. And even if you've gotten into a career field, and even if you're like my age, I still consider us to be young, even though we're in our early 30s, that's young to me. You could still change career fields if you want to, because a lot of these career fields only need certificates and or associate's degrees. And if you then went through undergrad and master's, hell, it's nothing for you to get an associate's degree. You're already used to doing that type of coursework. So this should be nothing to you. It's 2 years. Let's go on to the next one. A radiologic technologist. Radiologic technologists perform x-rays and other diagnostic and imaging tests on patients. Some specialize in mammogram exams that screen for breast cancer. These workers need associate degrees. They start out, or their median salary is $57,450. And of course, looking at the median salary, you're going to get paid more if you're in a bigger city. And not saying, well, that's only because the cost of living is more. If you stay in Albany and go into these fields, you're still going to be making good money for the cost of living. It's still going to balance out where you can live, work, and play. Because I believe that playing part is very important to my life. I need to have a perfect work-life balance, even as an entrepreneur. You hear all the time, entrepreneurs on this, no sleep, no sleep, no sleep. Shut up, because you do need sleep. You cannot keep it going if you do not rest. And I definitely believe in celebrating the small wins. And that doesn't mean when you make a buck, you spend that buck. That means that when you make something, take about 5 to 10% of that and treat yourself. Even if you don't have to treat yourself financially, there are self-care things you can do to just make yourself feel good about achieving those small wins. And then when you get to those big wins, you definitely need to treat yourself. So I'm all about the balance there. I'm all about the working, the playing, and the living. Let's go into another one. Occupational therapist assistant. These healthcare workers help patients who have injuries, or impairments develop and improve skills they need to work or complete daily tasks. Occupational therapy assistants must have associate degrees. Their median salaries is $59,010. And they're just assisting. So, and a lot of these times when you go into these assistant roles, you may want to actually become an occupational therapist. And if you've already gotten the associate degree and the hands-on experience, you moving into that next role and completing probably another 2 years to get a 4-year degree and making more money is nothing. But once again, it's that research. Is this what I want to do before I spend time going to school on something I'm not sure I want to do and have wasted my time? Let's go on to another one. I love this. I am being educated. Now this one, I don't want to be, but maybe somebody wants to be a patrol officer who responds to incidents and emergencies in the communities where they work. I don't want to do that, but their median salary is $59,680. That ain't worth the violence to me. Their unemployment rate is 0.3%. I mean, hell, that's because you can shoot somebody unarmed and still be fucking working. Whatever. Not even. There's another topic that I've already discussed. I've already vented on. Let's talk about plumbers, which, once again, not my cup of tea, but their median salary, $51,450. And most of their jobs are obtained through technical schools or apprenticeship training, which I was reading about the state of California implementing a type of apprenticeship to become a lawyer. And I thought that was so awesome because when you think about lawyers, they're researching cases, they research old cases to give them ideas on how to win new cases. They're researching the facts, and a lot of times they're really just trying to prove a reasonable doubt to get their clients off. But I've always thought, and no disrespect to people who went to school to get into the field, that you necessarily didn't need a degree to be a lawyer. And I love that California has implemented an apprenticeship to get to that attorney role without having to spend those years in law school. More of a fast track. Like I was saying, a lot of these things can be fast tracked. A lot of these fluff and buff courses can be cut off so that you can be fast tracked to learning what you need to learn for your career field. I think more fields and more areas should look into this apprenticeship style of becoming said role or said title than your traditional 4-year institutions, and then also on top of that going to law school. Let's talk about the next one. Wind turbine technician. Then, I don't think we have those here, but somewhere there's wind turbines. But they install and repair wind turbines, which generate green energy, and their median salary is $52,260. And their expected new job openings by 2026, 5,600. Obviously, we're going to be putting up more wind turbines in the United States. So, shoot. Wait a minute, guys. Because as I'm reading these, I'm scrolling through, so I get to see them before I read them out loud. Let's talk about this radiation therapist. Radiation therapists who need associate degrees treat cancer by providing treatment to tumors using machines such as linear accelerators. Their median salary is $80,160. Their unemployment rate is one of the lowest at 0.5%. Their expected new job openings by 2026 is 2,400 jobs, guys. Their median salary is $80,160. Associate degrees. That's all they need. Come on. Go ahead. Let's just go ahead and just start our careers over, guys. Because when I was in school, when I was in high school, we did have vocational classes that taught you skills and that probably, I don't know because I didn't go that path, but probably discuss some of these career paths that I'm talking about right now. But I was on the college prep path. So I never went to the vocational building or even knew what they were doing over there till later in life, like now, which some of these people probably make way more than me and spent way less time in somebody's classroom in school. But crazy how the world puts this value on 4-year degrees and on going to a university and being able to say, I'm a first generation college graduate in my family. Screw all of that. People need to start teaching their children, their students, to maximize all of their potential, to research and hone in into their passions and their skills, to put them on a path that's really going to fulfill their desires and their needs as far as their career goes, or put them on a path that's going to set them up to be successful entrepreneurs. Sit down and actually have a conversation with your children and with students so that you won't put them down a path that's going to waste their time because you're only speaking to them from a mindset or from a viewpoint of what you think is important, which is really based on a lot of times what society thinks is important. And it's not conducive to helping them go down a successful career path or path of entrepreneurship. We need these conversations, and they need to be real conversations, because there are too many of us who have wasted our time, wasted our money, and are now in debt when we didn't have to be. When someone could have given us more options, could have listened to us. A lot of times adults don't listen to students and children or people that they consider children, because a lot of professors, even when you're in college and you're over 18, a lot of them still view you as children and let me tell you what to do instead of let me help you based on what you told me you want to do. And like I said, there are career fields that school is a must. But there are some where this apprenticeship can work, where associate degrees can work, or like I said, we're cutting out these prerequisites that are unnecessary, like these extra English classes, extra math classes, extra psychology classes. If I'm not trying to go into none of that, stop putting those into my coursework for my degree. Like, no, let me just take these major classes, and maybe some classes, of course, on business communications, because those you do learn communicating effectively when sending emails, because those are skill sets that you need, that you're going to have to communicate with people on a professional level, and you need to do so effectively and without making yourself look like a fool. And once again, those don't have to be lengthy courses. That can be like a 6 weeks course and boom, done. And let me get into one more. Let me see which one's gonna wow me. The last one, dental hygienist. I don't like being in people's mouths, but if you don't mind, if you can just put your little mask on and get to work. These oral health care experts who clean dental patients' teeth and advise them on proper mouth hygiene. They only need associate degrees, and their median salary is $72,910. Their unemployment rate is 0.5% in bruh. Their expected new job openings by 2026 is 40,900. This job doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Not with it still, because even where the field I work in, I'm a commercial underwriter. And for this career field, technology has been slow. As you can imagine, we look at very sensitive information as it relates to people's personal accounts and things of that nature. So converting it over to new software, it takes a long time. You have to be very diligent to know when information leaks or whatever. But as automation is introduced, which it is growing now, they're trying to make it more and more automated over the next 5 to 10 years. The type of work I do is going to be a decline in job openings, not an increase. And luckily, I'm not counting on that anyway, because my goal is full-time entrepreneurship. I respect, my job. It pays said bills and also pays for said business. However, my goal is not to stay with the company, work for them for 30, 40 years, retire, and then start to travel. I live my best life right now. I travel right now. I have fun right now. I do save. I have a 401k. However, I also reward myself financially right now. I'm not going to wait until I'm 65, 67, 70 to start living my best life, because who knows, you may not make it to that age. No one has time for that. But at the same time, it's a balance. I also plan for the future too, so it's a balance. And I do respect having a 9 to 5 and working that 9 to 5. And I also respect if you do want to retire with the company, or if you do want to make it to a CEO of a company or an executive position in a company. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, because we all do not have to desire the same things to be successful. There's more than one way to skin a cat. But all I'm saying is there are some career fields out there that are financially rewarding that take less time and less money to get to. Associate degrees, certificates, coding boot camps. Look into those things. If you have a child now, I always feel like it's never too early to start talking to a child about what they want to do in life, even elementary school. Like if you know your child has a passion for dancing, start putting them into these professional dance classes. Start honing in on their passions so that they can monetize them. There's nothing wrong with monetizing your passions at the age of 9 or 7 or whatever. Like if they express to you that's a passion, now that's not saying you stress them out and cause them anxiety by forcing them to get into different things, but allow them to explore that passion. Allow them, because even if that doesn't pan out, you've opened the door for them to now explore themselves comfortably and explore themselves without shutting themselves down. Because when I was coming up, a lot of us wanted to pursue the arts, but because school was such a big thing, you shut yourself down. Like, oh, that ain't gonna take me nowhere. Oh, that ain't gonna make me no money or whatever. And so you leave your passion for the arts behind, and you go down this path that you think is right and that you think is gonna lead you to the money, only to graduate and find out, bro, they still trying to offer you only 28 grand out here in these streets for certain jobs, even with the 4-year degree. Meanwhile, you could have went after your passions and hell, could have been a millionaire by now. You could have been the lead choreographer for the Beyonce concert or something. Who knows? Who knows? So that's my spiel on whether or not college is worth it. It could be. Like I said, because an associate degree, you have to go to a college for that. It could be worth it. It definitely could be. But before you go and choose a major, research and make sure, A, that's even the major you want to do and you're not doing it just because somebody told you should. B, that it does meet your passions and your skill sets and your desires on financial stability. Because you don't want to get out here in these streets be making 28 grand. You just don't. Money isn't everything, but I also don't want to make that. I just don't. And just make sure that it is even needed for you. Like I said, if you want to go into entrepreneurship, a lot of times you don't have to go to a full-on 4-year, 2-year school. You could just take courses here and there. And a lot of places offer like quick 4 weeks courses, 6-week courses on things. You can learn about social media, how to grow your business using social media ads by taking little 5-6 week courses here and there that cost maybe like $50 to $100. But it takes research. With all of this, you have to be diligent in your research and build your skills of resourcefulness, because that's the only way you're going to be successful, whether you take the degree path or whether you go the entrepreneurship way, or whether you decide to get these certificates or take some of these coding boot camps. It's still going to take a level of resourcefulness to get you on that path and to make sure you're successful, because you're still going to be competing against X amount of people. And even though you can't worry about people too much personally because your biggest competitor is yourself, if you're going to be out here working for people, or even, getting your own business out there, you're going to have to think about your competition and what can I do to set myself apart, or my business apart, or my skills apart from those who are also going after the same thing. But remember that in doing that, that doesn't mean you have to knock other people down. It's still enough room out here for everyone to shine. Just make sure yours is shining the brightest. And that's all I have today for this final vent session on whether college is worth it. Next month is going to be all about the interviews, and I'm so excited because every week I'm going to be interviewing a Black woman entrepreneur, because I want you guys to, of course, support their businesses, but I want to help grow Black woman-owned businesses. I want to help us strive for more. I want to help us succeed. I want this show to be a platform where we allow all lights to shine brightly. We do not pull each other down here. We recharge each other. We are batteries. We are giving life to things that would be lifeless without charge. We are beings full of energy. We need to be charged. We need to be recharged. On this show, we are recharging you. I am fueling you with energy. I want you to keep going and keep striving. I want other people to support you as well. Like I said, even if you have another podcast, I still interview on here, because guess what? We can all eat. We can all shine. We all deserve to shine. So, tune in next Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. As usual, thank you guys so much for the love, for the support. Shout out, I'm going to do a special shout out. Shout out to my line sister Jasmine, who stayed listening. And even if, she beat herself up if she don't listen, I appreciate her support. That's my front too, boo. And shout out to my bestie, who's also named Jasmine. I just get along well with Jasmine. She's been down since day one. She's like everything in my life. She's my sister. She's my friend. She's my confidant. She's my number one supporter. And she's my God baby's mom. But I just want to give a special shout out to them, because they are always supporting and have always listened. And also shout out to my homie who hates to give me compliments and hates to say he's going to support, but always supports. My homeboy Napoleon. We go way back. Also, 229 days. Shout out to him. He always supports as well. He always low-key listening. He don't like to say he listening, but he be listening. I appreciate that. I appreciate that support. So shout out to those special people in my life that stay supporting. I'm definitely grateful for you guys, if I don't say it enough. And shout out to y'all, the listeners. Without you guys, I probably wouldn't keep going. Like I said, even if it's one of you guys, that still makes me, happy as well, outside of my immediate circle that are listening and that actually thinks I have something worth listening to. So I appreciate you and I love you. And as usual, follow us on Instagram at sister.radio. Follow me on Instagram at Your Favorite Sistah. Hey, you can see me living my best life out here. And yeah, tune in next Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Bye-bye.